G'day from tropical Queensland, Australia. Greg here again to share a few things that have been happening this week. Hope you've had a great week and stayed healthy. So what have I been up to? Well, I did mention I was thinking about whether I should keep flying or not as a private pilot. And I have made a decision on that, which I'll share with you in a second. But the thing that's been on my mind this week is how we all cope with change. Now, I mentioned in my last video that I'd give you an insight on how I ended up here in Queensland. And it wasn't sort of rocket science. I just picked a spot on the map and that's where I decided to go. I mean, the hardest part was to make the decision, you know. I mean, that's always the hardest part. Once the decision's made, well, then we tend to, you know, get things moving and start putting things in place. Prior to moving up here, I ran a bed and breakfast in Lakes Entrance, small little fishing village in Gippsland, Victoria, Australia, right down the bottom of the map. Lovely spot, but the house was getting too big. The B&B, ran that for 14 odd years, getting a little bit too much, getting in a little bit of a rut. Didn't really want to make a change because I had a lot of stuff. You know, the garage, you know how it is. Your garage is full of stuff, the cupboards are full of stuff, and you sort of think it's all too hard. But at some point you're going to have to make that decision. It's probably better to make it a little bit earlier than later in life, if you can. But change is scary. You know, it's something that we often avoid. But you know, it can be a challenge, but it can be very rewarding, as often challenges are. You know, sometimes we get in a bit of a rut. We need to dig ourselves out of that rut. After all a rut is a hole, isn't it? So we have to take some action to get out of it. You know, climb out of it sometimes, spring out of it, dig our way out of it. However we get out of a rut, that's a personal choice. But you know, I recall years ago, my parents, they would have been in their 70s. They were you know, living quite happily in Victoria and just you know, pottering around doing things. Anyway, at that stage, I was managing 5 cottages up at a place called the Bunya Mountains in Queensland, famous for its bunya pines, which is an ancient tree, beautiful place. Anyway, they came up to stay for a week and they ended up staying for 4 months. And the reason was that it gave them a whole new lease of life. Dad was out, you know, chopping some wood, and Mum was taking bookings and helping clean the little cabins, and you know, dealing with people, and a reason to get up every morning. And you know, it felt productive. They were helping me, and that's sometimes, you know, what we need. It's not easy. It's not easy trying new things, but I'd encourage you to, maybe tomorrow, do something you haven't done before. See if you like it or not. Whatever it is, only you will sort of know. But I think there's always something we haven't done, and something worth trying. And you know, sometimes fear stops us from doing that. Sometimes we just don't want to make a fool of ourselves. Well, you know, if we all thought that way, I guess we'd just sit in a chair all day, wouldn't we? Not do anything, not leave the house. But the change for me is worked really well. I've been involved in sport up here, theatre. I write a few plays. Had a couple of my plays put on last year. The audience were, having a good laugh and enjoying themselves. And unfortunately, it was a serious piece I wrote, but that's beside the point. Only kidding. And it was great, because I've got 20 or 30 plays that I've written and they're just sitting in a cupboard, and to have one on stage, it's a big thrill. And so you never know what's around the corner. But I had to, put myself out there. Whether people were going to criticise what I'd written or whatever. It's just something you've got to do. And you get to a stage where, you listen to other people, but it's just their opinion, You have to find your own way and, sometimes deal with criticism and accolades, the same way. But for me, I just like, I like challenging myself a little bit, but it takes me a while to actually take that step. At the moment, I've designed a new board game. Had a lot of fun doing that. It's sitting there, we're ready to go. One day I'll make a decision to try and put it out there. But I actually just enjoy sometimes I just enjoy the journey rather than the destination. I think that's the case with a lot of us, isn't it? We get to the destination and we think, oh, okay, what next? But it's that journey, isn't it? I encourage you all to not be fearful of change. It can be another really growing experience. And after all, sometimes we need that stimulation of something new in our lives, which is, as my parents, found that, they just really enjoyed that time. And Dad said to me, Greg, you've added some years to my life. I've just really enjoyed it here. And that's a great thing. So then, I had to make a decision about my flying and decided not to continue with my license. That's another change. Had to be honest with myself, at 71. Yes, I could probably fly for another 10 years, 15 years if I wanted to, but I thought to myself, no, I didn't want the responsibility of, especially if I'm taking passengers, and had to be honest with myself that would I be on top of my game? Because you don't get any second chances up in the air. And so, flying to me was a hobby. I did a lot of it when I was younger. I got my license in 1978, a long time ago. But there comes a point where you have to be honest with yourself. Okay, what can I do? Is this being reckless? I admire people in the 70s and 80s that, perhaps do not necessarily dangerous things, but, things on their bucket list that they wish they'd done when they were younger, and that's great. But I just don't feel like putting other people's lives at risk if I'm not on top of my game with, especially something that is inherently a little bit dangerous, flying. Although statistically it's not as dangerous as driving a car, so, But there are a few more things involved, obviously, and you have to be sort of on your game. So that's what I decided to do. I do have my flight simulator. There it is. I don't know if you can see it behind me there. A bit hard to see. So I'll just fly on that, and they're fantastic these days. You can, very realistic, almost like the real thing. So I guess the theme of today's videos is change. You know, don't fear it. Once you make the decision, just embrace it. Go ahead. Take little steps to get where you want to go. You don't have to sort of rush it. It doesn't have to be an overnight thing. And it's always great if you can, you know, take people along with you with the thought. I mean, there'll be a lot of people who say, "Hey, what are you doing? This is crazy. This is silly. You shouldn't be doing this." Yeah, okay, you can listen. You can listen to me. You don't have to take it on board. You just listen to your own small voice. And I think honesty is the big thing. Being honest with yourself. You know, am I going to give this a go, or is this something I need to do at this point, you know, in my life? So it's all good. So looking forward to hearing your thoughts. Have you had big changes in your life? How have you coped with those? Have they challenged you? You know, for the better, or maybe they haven't quite worked out as you thought, and you've had to take another pathway. But let's not stagnate. Let's not, you know, get in a rut. Let's embrace change, and love to hear what your thoughts are. Okay, so what I plan to do is I'll try and put a video down every Sunday. It's Sunday here in Australia, and really look forward to hearing your thoughts, and look forward to sharing a few more of my thoughts and, you know, things that are happening in my life as well. Stay healthy, stay happy, and catch you later. Bye from Australia. See ya.